January and February were never so empty and gray. Tragically, I feel like crying. Without you, my darling, I'm dying. But let's rather put it this way.
The song is Spring Will Be a Little Late This Year from Christmas Holiday, 1944, starring singing prodigy Deanna Durbin and dancing sensation Gene Kelly. Merry Christmas, Sean.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. So this movie sounds like a delightful Yuletide romp, doesn't it?
Don't believe it.
No.
It's a whodunit or whose fault is it?
That's right. It's a moody film noir, and it's based on a story by Somerset Maugham. And the story in the movie is about a soldier, a young soldier who's about to be shipped off to war. He's got December 24th and December 25th to go marry his girl. And right as he's about shoving his toothbrush in his duffel bag, he gets a wire. And the wire is from his sweetheart telling him that she's married somebody else. So he's going to go out to San Francisco and get to the bottom of this, but his plane gets grounded in New Orleans, where he meets up with a downtrodden hooker. And this downtrodden hooker is played by Deanna Durbin. And the reason that Deanna is in the dumps is because her husband, played by Gene Kelly, is in jail for the murder of a bookie. What could be more Christmassy than that?
Sounds like a lot of Christmases I've seen. Yes. Okay.
I know. So Deanna Durbin was about 23 when she made this movie, and this was a real left turn for her, wasn't it?
It was. The thing about Deanna Durbin that everybody has to remember to follow along with this is that she was an amazing teenage singer, soprano variety, and a little Miss Fix-It. But she wanted to grow up. And by 23, she'd already been married.
Right.
So her fans knew that Little Miss Fix-It, had been around the block a couple of times. And what we have here is her coming out as not only as a grown-up woman, but as a prostitute. There's just no getting around it.
There's no getting around it. She started out with Judy Garland, though, didn't she? They came out at the same time.
1936, every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It's that one film that maybe most people have seen, where because it's Judy Garland. How did Judy Garland get her start? Well, she got her start with Deanna Durbin.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a promotional film to see how it played out, and it played very well. And Louis B. Mayer was in England. And when his assistants called him, saying, well, what do we do? Do we take both girls? And he said, get rid of the fat one. And who he meant was Judy Garland. And they got rid of Deanna Durbin.
Oh, they got rid of Deanna Durbin.
And she walked over to Universal Studios, and they hired her on the spot. And the rest is motion picture history.
Right. She made them tons of money, didn't she?
She saved the studio.
She saved the studio, and she had this beautiful voice, and she always sang these arias or folk songs.
Like classical type music.
Right. And she was just delightful, and everybody loved her. The kids loved her, the parents loved her, everybody loved her. So this was a real departure for her. Total departure. Now, so Deanna makes an entrance in this movie that is, I think, not only is this movie one of her best screen performances, I think, but it's also one of her best entrances. Now, tell us about this entrance.
Well, it's subtle but effective.
Yeah.
Okay. She's coming up from a table, her back is to us, and she walks towards the area where she's going to sing.
She turns around and sings Spring Will Be a Little Late This Year. And she sings it, she's in a bordello in New Orleans. And she sings it in this flat, monotone, there's no expression on her face, which is so different. Her fans must have just been going, what is this? Because she was always smiling and bright, and she's just deadpan, bitter and deadpan. Now, so Spring Will Be a Little Late This Year was written by our pal Frank Lesser, who we talked about in This Gun for Hire.
Yes.
Now, up to this point, he had mostly written just lyrics. But right about this time, he started writing the music too, and he was given the assignment to write this song for Deanna Durbin. And the result is this beautiful little masterpiece. And it's light and airy and pretty on top, and it's got these jabs of pain, doesn't it, underneath. And
she's jaded.
She's very jaded. And the song has gone on to become kind of a standard, somewhat of a standard. Ella Fitzgerald sings it, and Sarah Vaughan sings it. And I heard it for years, but I never knew where it came from. I had no idea that it came from this movie. So when you go back and you think of the context under which this song was written, Frank Lesser had to write a song about a prostitute and a soldier who had broken hearts, right?
On Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve. But he also, this song was also written in the very darkest depths of World War II. So not only was spring going to be a little late for the prostitute and the soldier, spring was going to be a little late for everybody.
A little late.
Yeah. Now, Gene Kelly. Oh, Gene Kelly. You can eat him with a spoon in this movie. Isn't he yummy?
Well, he is. He's very fresh.
Well, and you know what? He plays this very sexy cad, basically, with no moral compass. He's a psychopath, basically. But, you know, it's not so far to think of him in that part, because he had been brought to Hollywood in the first place on the strength of his performance in Pal Joey on Broadway, where he plays also a sexy, lovable cad.
Yes, but for the rest of America, he is not a singing, dancing star.
No.
He's unknown.
Exactly. I mean, those films, the Singing in the Rain and American in Paris, are ahead of him.
So we see him in his days before all of that legend and all of that image happened.
Exactly. And he's so confident and so...
He's a surprisingly good actor.
He's very good. And you know what also? The chemistry between Deanna and Gene is very sexy.
It's real.
And you really feel like she loves this guy. And especially there's a scene where she sings, he's playing the piano, and she wraps her arms around him and she sings the Irving Berlin tune, Always. And it's just lovely. This was the first time she ever played a married woman on the screen. Can you believe that? So now people say, what kind of Christmas movie is this? And I say, it's the Christmassiest of Christmas movies. And why? Why do you think I think that?
Well, not everybody's happy at Christmas.
Number one, that's right. There's the shadow of Christmas, which this movie really highlights.
Yeah. And not all of us go through a religious catharsis. Some of us might go through a personal catharsis.
Exactly. Well, this is my point. How many other Christmas movies make you sit through midnight mass?
Good point.
And I would recommend to everyone, if you want to have the merriest of Merry Christmases, get a hold of a copy of Christmas Holiday, get some popcorn, and watch it at midnight on Christmas Eve. How delightful!
Sounds good to me.
Okay, let's do it.
So, can you...
Oh, well, now I'm off the edge.
Oh, right.
That spring will be a little late this year.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the key. And Ella and Sarah's is too low, Deanna's is too high. So I'm doing the key of B, which piano players love.
Oh, they love
me for that.
Well, here's what I noticed. the spring will be a little late this year. The first time she says it, she keeps the tempo. But the second time, on a little late, a little, she hangs on to it. So, just for curiosity's sake, let's go back into her key.
That's there.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, our favorite one. A little.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I know. A little slow to. Slow. Damn. This is what practice is for. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Yes, time heals all things. So I didn't cling to this fear. It's merely that spring will be a little late this year.
Very nice. Yes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right. So if it were Betty Davis,
Yeah.
let's go to Mark Wilmer and put this song in there, and if she's a singer,
Yeah.
it would be like, spring,
Spring will be.
this year. Gonna be a little late. And there would be a motivation for that. Okay.
Spring will be a little late this year, a little late arriving in my lonely world over here. For you have left me, and where is our April of old? You have left me, winter continues cold, as if to say, spring will be a little slow to start.